Good evening and welcome to the FiTT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby P. Kinzer.
And I'm Thomas Doty.
We are the FiTT Show, helping our people get their finances in shape. Or we can also say we're giving you financial fitness. That's my new one, though. So, welcome everybody to another show. This is our 242nd show. Last week was what it takes to be financially secure. We hope that helped you. This week we're going to talk about 9 ways to protect your money. So, Dot, how you doing today?
Happy to be alive, good brother. How are you?
I'm just happy you are alive. It's good to see you, man. Good to
Good
be
to see
seen
you.
and not viewed. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
man, see what happened to Peebo. They just out of nowhere. Had tickets to go see him next week, and the brother is gone.
Yeah. They said he went from Peebo to P-Go, but so though, let's go with the administrators to get this out the way. Click on the like button, you all. It's very important for y'all to do that so it can reach more people. And of all things, please place comments in the comment box because that's how we make this an interactive show. We're in a virtual studio, but no matter where you are in the United States or the world, you can communicate with us through that comment box. And by the way, we get more algorithms, you reach more people the more comments you put in. So if you just want to talk about how handsome Doty is, you can put that in there,
Oh
and
my
that
God.
counts. Believe it or not, that counts. Also, just want to let you know that the information that we're giving you, we're not qualified advisors. We have no fiduciary responsibility, but we just try to provide information, general information. But for specific information, please tune into your local um, financial advisor or CPA or CFP, Chartered Financial Planner, or Chartered Financial Consultant. And yeah, so that's all I have for today. So glad we're here every Thursday, 8 o'clock. And want to make sure that when people they come on, sometimes my system think they on the old show, but today is June the 4th. It is, and think that is live, but we are live. We're definitely live here today with the FiTT Show, FiTT. So thank you very much, and thank you for your patience going through the administrative duties. Now let's get into the show. We always start at the top of the market with the stock market. And before I go any further, you all, we've been experiencing technical difficulties, and if you're experiencing that, you either can just wait a few minutes if you see our screen go blank, because we might have to get out and come back in. Or if you're having problems freezing up, the best thing you can do is get out and come back in, because you actually will connect to another link when you do that. So, forgive us. Charge it not to us. We don't have some control over the technologies, but been acting kind of crazy lately. And so with that, I'm hoping that we can bring up our screen today to share with you the stock market board that we talk about every week.
Are you working today, brother?
Is working today, bro.
That's a good thing because
That's
this has been a really crazy week. If you look at the chart, it looks like not much has happened.
right.
You can see the S&P, it looks like it's about flat. The NASDAQ's down slightly. The stocks that I have, Microsoft is up a point. Apple's down a couple. NVIDIA's up 5. Google's down 17. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Pfizer and Boston Scientific are basically flat. But within this week, for example, Microsoft has been as high as 460 this week within the past
Right.
week. And
Right.
Nvidia has been up to 230. Okay. And so it's been very volatile because of the war, because of everything that's going on with the guy in Washington. And so it has been crazy. And you look at this and it looks like nothing has happened. The only really big movement for the week has been Google. And there's a specific reason for that. They announced that they are going to do an $84 billion equity offering. Now, what is that? That's when they seek money from people looking to invest in their company. They're going to do it several ways. They have a deal with Berkshire Hathaway for 10 billion. They're going to do some stock issuances for a bunch of billions. And usually a company that has as much money as they have would just fund it internally. But it's a couple of things. One, this AI thing is so expensive. This money is for AI infrastructure. And it is so expensive that they have chosen to go this route. And this has kind of spooked investors, and for a couple of reasons. I mean, the stock has been on a pretty good run up. If you look year to date, it's up 18%. So some of that is simply profit taking. But really, it spooked the investors because of the magnitude of the amount of money that's being spent on AI. Again, there's always that question: are the ends going to justify the means, or are the means going to justify the ends? Is it going to be worth all the money they're putting into it, to put it bluntly? And so that's why investors kind of, increase the selling of that stock and cause the stock to go down pretty dramatically, not 4%, right? And the main reason is because if you own the stock and your shares have been diluted when you add extra owners to the mix. So let's say they have 1,000 shares of stock already issued and you own 100, you own 10% of the company. So if they do this equity issuance and get some more stockholders, your share of the company gets smaller. So it's called dilution. And that's usually a negative because people don't like to lose value. And so that's kind of why the stock dropped. But in the grand scheme of things, a lot of people think it was an overreaction because, I mean, Google is so big that it seems like a lot of money, but for a company the size of Google, it's really not that much money. And they are going to get $85 billion of people investing in their company because they're such a good company. So I think this is a hiccup. I think the stock's going to recover. But like I said, it's already been on a pretty good run. If you look year to date, and we're only in the 1st of June, it's up 18%. And so that's a pretty good run so far. So, that's where we are. Things are going to continue to be volatile as long as we're at war, as long as inflation is high, as long as people are spending big money to fill up their gas tank and buy groceries. The price of beef is going up like crazy. A lot of items are going up. And I don't trust the numbers coming out of DC anymore because I keep track of how much stuff costs. And I know stuff's going up more than 3%, or 3.8%, whatever they're saying the inflation rate is. So I'm a little nervous. I've been nervous about this whole thing. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But looks like nothing happened, but a whole lot is going on.
Yeah, though the S&P 500, if I'm right, it was up by about 500 points today.
I don't think it's been up that much.
Yeah, when I looked at it earlier, it was I was getting mixed up.
I don't know what you was looking at, but for the week, the highest the S&P has been is 76. It hasn't been over 76.
I'm sorry, not the S&P. It was the Dow Jones. Excuse me, the Dow.
Okay, and the Dow that's just 30 stocks. Yeah, and so it can be a little more volatile because, Bob, it hasn't been up in the past week. It hasn't been up that much. I'm not sure what you were looking at.
Yeah, no, it was today.
Today, just today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. The high was 51.7, and it closed, and the low was 51. So it's 700 points, 700 point swing.
Yeah,
but that's, on 50,000, it's really not that much.
Right, but I just know it was a swing. Man. I was like, damn.
Yeah, and again, that could be one stock causing that. So. Yeah, you gotta be. That's why we don't even look at the Dow no more because it's only 30 stocks, and you can get one stock going crazy.
And the Dow, are those 30 made up of international stocks, or they're just American stocks?
I think we looked up this before. I'm pretty sure it's just American stocks.
That's what I remember. It was just American stocks.
I'm just gonna confirm that because I'm not 100% sure.
Right, but I
think
talk
about Bitcoin, and I'll look that up right quick.
Right, right, right. Yeah, because I could swore we said it was just that. But hey, so this is the market update, you all. What our statement is always talk about. It's about the long play, so don't be panicking and getting nervous and jumping out and doing crazy stuff. Just be a little patient. Gold. No, before I get to gold, um, the stock that I look at, which is like GE,
Mhm.
'cause GE has aerospace because it's war. I think it has a lot of effect. 'Cause GE, does a lot of engines for boats and planes and stuff like that. And it's been going up. It's up $13 today, though.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, and it's up to $327. I had it when it was $70 a share. And that would have been in 2017, by the way, somewhere around there. NXP, the competitor to NVIDIA, which is out of Holland, they up to $322 a share. I got in 2017, once again, at $106. So that's really rolling. And I also like to track now mutual fund because we always talked about mutual funds, which is a pool of stocks, a pool of stocks that is managed by a financial firm. And I usually look at Fidelity's growth fund to track them. They are up today, though, $258.
Yeah, Dow was up. The Dow was up big
We're
time
challenging
today.
the standard of what comes
What's
standard.
that, dope? Who was that, dope?
I hit the wrong button on my.
Oh, I thought it was acting crazy again. Okay. I thought it was the stamp system.
That was Thomas.
Okay, good. Okay, you scared me there.
That scared me too.
But yeah, look at the mutual funds too, y'all. Fidelity and Vanguard and T. Rowe Price, things like that. I tend to like Fidelity and Vanguard, and this growth fund about when was it? About 4 years ago, approximately. Transferred over about $40,000, and now is up to $82,000. That the net asset value. So
Yeah,
that just tells you what mutual funds can do. Mutual funds are a little bit more medium risk because it's got, several different stocks that's in the portfolio that they're managing. So that's why we like to talk about.
and Bob, to your point, anybody who's been invested in just about anything during this bull run has made a lot of money. And that's the point we always stress. It's really important to be invested. And if you're in a mutual fund, you get to spread the risk among a bunch of stocks, which is always better than buying individual stocks because they're risky. I buy individual stocks here. That this is kind of, I don't want to call it my play money, but this is money that I manage myself. But the bulk of my money is managed by Fidelity because I appreciate their expertise. But anybody who's been in the market how long has this bull run lasted, Bob? 10 years?
It's a little bit over 10 now.
It's been going for a while. So if you're in mutual funds, you made money. If you're in most individual stocks, you made money. And that's the key that we always try to stress. It's important to be invested. Now, that doesn't mean the market won't go down tomorrow. There may be a correction and it drops 20%. That could happen. But over the long term, since the 1930s, S&P 500 has averaged between 10 and 11% on an annual basis. So it's no guarantee, but that's pretty good. That's a pretty good reason for me to be invested. When over the long haul, it typically goes up. And even when it goes down, it goes up very strongly right after it goes down. So the
And
long haul, you do okay.
do you know the longest bear market is approximately like 1 year at any time? Meaning the
Usually,
market
usually
down.
there's just 1 or 2 day, or everybody remembers 2007.
Right.
Was it the bank crisis? Everybody remembers the crash of
2008.
31.
Yeah. And what about the
COVID.
.com in 2020, 2002?
Yeah, and the COVID big drop.
2020.
Yeah, but if you look at the months or years right after those, there's usually tremendous growth. And the things that scare me right now is one, Social Security, two, inflation, and three, the tax rates. Because I'm not a betting person, but I would bet anybody that our tax rates will never be as low as they are now. Never ever, especially with the way the deficit is going. If you just
Yes, 38 trillion though.
Yeah, if you just do the math, if you're trying to cut into what you owe, the only way you can do that is to raise revenue or have tremendous growth. And I don't think we can have enough growth to offset what we owe in the deficit. And so the only way you
Correct.
can raise revenue is to raise taxes, and taxes are at historically low rates right now. And especially if the Democrats get in the office, rates are going to go up. And even if the Republicans stay in office, at some point, you're going to have to stop living on borrowed money. And the only way you can change that is to raise tax rates, which decreases growth, which is the other vehicle used to decrease deficit. So I'm kind of bearish on a lot of things right now, but that's just me. I'm
I've
doubting.
been saying that over a year though.
Yeah, and eventually it's going to be true.
It's going to come though. Look though. So
The math ain't mathing.
No, I pulled back 7 years ago, right? I pulled back. I went more conservative, right? Because at that time it was no, 5 years ago. But at that time it had been running for 6 years. A bull market, something like, and they kept saying, "Oh, it's only a matter of time. It's going to time." So I went conservative, and like I said, that was about 5 years ago. And look at it now. Each year from that 5 years ago, it's been a bull market.
Yeah, and I say that, and it sounds like I'm talking out both sides of my mouth because I'm still invested. I mean, I'm still heavily invested. My portfolio with Fidelity is around 65 to 70, 35 to 30, stocks. I'm still heavily invested because again, even if it corrects, and that's what you got to look at. I'm way ahead of wherever I would have been had I done nothing. I'm talking way ahead. And so even if there's a correction, I'm still way ahead of where I would have been had I done nothing. And so that's what naysayers always talk about when the market goes down. See, that's why I don't invest in the market.
Right.
But I'm still way ahead, and I'm going to be way ahead because of how much it's grown in these 10 years. And so I say I'm pessimistic and I'm doubting Thomas, but I am still invested, and I'll continue to be invested because I think the companies I have are good companies and are going to continue to grow. But I just don't feel good about the entire market.
But it goes back to what we always talk about, though, because that's your risk temperament. You're willing to take the risk, and everybody's different.
Oh, for sure.
And so I did
risky. The last 10 years has definitely paid off.
Right, but so like I told, I did the flip of what you did, though. I went from 65, 70 equity stocks to 55, 70 mutual funds. Government securities, right? But yet I was riding at 30%. Still, I left in equities. Though, do you know that 30% equity, because it was growing, ended up changing the balance from
no question
30 to 70. Then it took my 70 that I had in conservative and government securities, and it took the percentage wise became 60-40, believe it or not. So I still made out.
Yeah, but don't kill yourself by thinking what you have if you'd have been 70-30, because you'd end up cutting your net.
Yeah, right. But my plan for me, right? I was happy, and plus I pull out 4% every year out of my 401, and I'm making like 15-20, right? and it works. It balances out. I'm still ahead, and I'm taking money out because my daughter's in school, and that strategy. And I'm just saying that works for me. And I'm going conservative, and I'm still making out though.
Yeah, yeah. You got to be invested if you want to make money. You kind of
Yeah.
have to be. But
Hey, no, as
yes,
a sidebar, I saw this thing, and this makes the point that we talked about, being in the market, don't be trying to time the market, but time in the market. I saw this thing said 5 reasons why saving money will keep you poor. It didn't say it will make you broke, it will keep you poor. And it was talking about if you just have your money in a traditional savings account paying less than 1%, it's going to keep you poor because inflation is going to eat you alive. False sense of security because if say you got $30,000 in the bank and in a savings account, and you have just one catastrophe, it could liquidate your whole savings. The other one is you're missing out on opportunities. The next one is cash flow. You want your money to be working for you, and the last one was the trade. They said you always trade time for dollars because there's going to be a time where you're not going to be able to be working to make money. And that's why you want your money to be working for you. But it was just an interesting article talking about 5 reasons why saving money will keep you poor if it's in a traditional savings account. So with that, I didn't give the update on gold. Gold is up 14. Oh, wow. No. Whoa, I had it wrong. Gold is down $14. It's at $4,491. And silver is up only 13 cents, up to $74. Wonder what's going on with that gold, though.
no idea, man. And I think again because it's a safe haven for people.
Yeah, and then
A lot of people are feeling like I feel that things are pretty crazy right now.
I feel the way you do too, though.
Yeah.
So let's talk about cryptocurrency. Good Lord. We want to talk about bad news. The whole is that right? Did I do that right? No, that can't be right.
Is your math not right again, brother?
Yeah, I did something. I did something. I think I did something too fast. Let me just check and make sure I'm right.
Which one?
Yeah. I missed the zero. I knew it was something there. This one right here. Wait a minute. Let me show you.
Where are you?
I'll show you. This is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 2 ones. It's down 11%. That's why I looked at it. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. My fingers got too busy. The crypto market is down 11%. That's 273 billion, though, that the whole market is down. And the the Bitcoin is down $11,000, 15%. And remember, last week it was down $4,000. Ouch. And look at Ethereum. It's down $246. That's 12%. It's down under 2,000 now. It's only $1,760 per Ethereum cryptocurrency. Tether is still in third place. Binance is in fourth. But look what happened, though. The USDC, which is a stable coin, Ripple at one time was in the fourth place. It's all the way down, dropping down to sixth place at $1.16. It's down 11%. So the crypto market, I don't know what's going on. We never can tell what's going on. What makes that go up or down because it's so consumer sentiment that drives that. You just don't know. But that is, that's ugly for cryptocurrency, though.
It is. It certainly is.
So let's get into today's show, Dope. Let's get into today's show talking about 9 ways to protect your money. What are we talking about there?
Well, we're going to talk. This is from a little discussion with our good friend Dave Ramsey. He always has advice, and I won't say it's always good advice because I don't always agree with everything. And that's the way this whole thing works. You're not going to find anybody. You can't make a comment that's going to be right across the board for everybody, for every situation. So we're going to talk about some of the things he feels and give our 2 cents on what we feel about him. And his most of this conversation is about preparing for retirement, whether you're young or old, Everybody should be thinking about it, to have a secure retirement. And a lot of people, start late. Some people start early. And some of the things he says, like I said, make a lot of sense. They're just clear as can be. Other things are arbitrary. He throws out a lot of benchmarks, like he'll talk about that everybody should save 15%. And well, that works for some people. For other people, it may not work. And so what we're going to talk about is as you approach, as you prepare for retirement, or if you're already in retirement, we're going to talk about some things that you can do to make sure you stay on track and end up where you need to be, not to be stressed out, and to have the money, enough money that so you don't outlive your bank account.
Yeah, that's so true though, because protecting your money is it's so many people. There's so many different ways to actually protect your money. But protect your money means implementing strategies to safeguard your wealth from loss. It involves wealth preservation, defending your money against inflation, market volatility, and taxes. And asset protection is about shielding your money from lawsuits, creditors, fraud, and unexpected personal disasters. So protecting your money, it could be twofold, it leads to achieving long-term financial well-being. And also it helps you get peace of mind. Now you can enjoy the benefits and flexibility and opportunity and ability to build a lasting legacy if you protect your money accordingly with some of the things when you listen to Bill Ramsey today when we talk about it. Because you can protect and grow your wealth with careful planning, risk management, and a focus on long-term goals. We always talk about, setting goals. Now, this can ensure a secure financial future, not just for yourself, but also for your loved ones, though.
Okay, well, I'm going to get going, Bob. And the first one, and this is one I agree with wholeheartedly, and he's talking about Social Security. And you shouldn't be planning on living off Social Security. It's you should look at it as icing on the cake, so to speak, as opposed to this is what I'm going to live on. And for a lot of people, though, it's a crucial source of income. And one, it might not be enough. And two, I think I've mentioned to you guys that it's on track to run out of money probably in 2031. I think I told you the numbers when it was implemented, the life expectancy was 58 and you couldn't take money out till you were 65. So now the life expectancy of most men and women are 78 years old and you can start taking money out at 72. It doesn't take a genius to see that math don't math. And it's going to run out of money unless something changes. And that's one of those things that's not politically easy to do, is to raise the retirement age or increase the Social Security tax. But those are the only two ways you can get this thing straightened out, unless somebody comes up with a magical bunch of money from some other source, which I don't know where that could come from. So if you're planning on living on Social Security, just be aware that the amount you're expecting may be cut. Try to find out how much you have coming. I don't care if you're 25 years old, you can look and get an estimate of what your Social Security payout will be at your retirement age. Now, again, those numbers may not be accurate because of the impending shortfall that's forecasted to hit in 2031, but you can still have an estimate of how much you expect to get when you decide to take Social Security.
Yeah, Dave says inflation comes and goes, so do returns. What you don't want to do is draw out so much that you end up running out of money before your life is over. Those are quotes from Dave Ramsey. And he says, when creating a retirement withdrawal plan, inflation has to be taken into account. It can impact your daily expenses and it cannot be ignored. The same can be said about market returns. The ebb and flow creates, short-term volatility. The trick during these times is to keep withdrawals steady on plan, on steady and on plan. You can run out of money in retirement if you withdraw too much, warns Dave Ramsey. If you withdraw money during a downturn in the markets, you're more than likely to sell or holding for a lower amount. The right withdrawal strategy will be different for everyone, but common ones include the 4% rule, like I told you, which I use. Then there's another approach called the bucket approach, which is 3 buckets, a short-term, mid-term, and long-term approach, and the pay yourself strategy.
Okay, the next one we have, which I agree with wholeheartedly, and he says retirement planning isn't an old people thing. It's a smart people thing. It's never too late to start, and it's never too early to start. And it's kind of hard when you're 25, 35, even 40 to start thinking about retirement. But it was a little easier back when we were all younger because most people had pensions. Unfortunately, now most people don't have pensions. And so you kind of have to take care of yourself. You got to make sure if your company's matching in your 401k that you're putting in enough to get that. And you have to start at some point. Just bite the bullet, put 6% away into a 401k. If you can also swing an IRA, do that, or a Roth. And if you can afford the tax burden, the Roth is even more effective because that money will never be taxed again. And so it's never too early to start. It's never too late to start. So even if you're older, start putting money away. And that's the important thing, is that you start. I don't care where you are. Start, have a plan, and make sure you're preparing to retire.
Dave Ramsey says, no one leaves a legacy by accident. You must live life on purpose and come up with a plan to protect your legacy and make sure the baton is passed to the next generation. A lot of my friends don't nowadays talk about, man, hey, my kid's going to be okay. I'm going to be living my life. I ain't going to be, giving them all this money. And then when I die, they buy a Mercedes Benz and talk about, Dad, we got this Mercedes Benz. But I'm about live. I do want to leave something for my kids. I believe in legacy now. And if a legacy is, one of your top priorities, on your priority list, this one is for you. With these words, Ramsey is reminding us that you must work hard and plan hard to build a legacy you can pass on to the next generation. That means not only setting financial goals and boundaries and living within them, but also creating an estate plan to protect them. It might be the last thing you want to do, but creating a will, a trust, healthcare directives ensures your legacy can carry on. Those are the bottom line foundation you must have.
Yeah, next he has one of his benchmark numbers. Again, it's the 15%. He's saying at most any age, 15% is a good number to save. And that is a good number to save, if you can save 15%. But again, it won't fit everybody, because if you can save more, you should save more. We always talk about the sooner you start saving, the more money you're going to have.
It is.
You have time on your side, and you get the value of compounding interest. So I would say the minimum you should save is how much your company can match. And it's not a matter of whether you can afford it or not. It's a matter of you can afford not to save at least what your company matches. And from that point, you save as much as you can, as much as you realistically can, and still be able to pay your bills. I would never recommend going in debt to save, but if you adjust your budget and really focus on not wasting money, not eating out at lunch, or alcohol costs a lot of money, going out costs a lot of money. But those are the kind of things you might have to give up in order to get to the point where you're saving a good amount of money. But again, at a minimum, you got to save what your company's matching. You don't want to leave that money on the table, but don't let the 15% stop you. Save as much as you can. The more you save, the better off you'll be long term.
And this next one's a little teak and chung type thing. Dave says, the trick to knowing when to take Social Security is knowing when you are going to die. Once you have that figured out, then you can calculate it precisely. And what he's saying, no one knows when they'll die, which makes deciding when Social Security, when the claims for Social Security, um, is kind of scary. A lot of people go through this. I know a lot of my friends on here went through that whole process of, when do they take it? Now, do it too early and live to 90 and you could run out of money. Take it too late, you don't have much time to enjoy it while you're still healthy and you regret waiting. Why, why there isn't a precise way to decide when to claim Social Security benefits, there are some things to consider. If you take it before your full retirement, and for people who are not born 1960 and beyond, that's at age 67. You'll receive up to a 30, if you take it before full retirement, you'll end up taking a 30% reduction in your lifetime benefits. If you wait until full-time retirement age, you'll receive your full benefits. Now, every year you wait after your full retirement age, that's up until 70, you'll receive an 8% increase. So think about that if you plan on taking it at 62. Every year after that, if you took it, that's an 8% increase each year that you're missing.
Yeah, the next one he has, I agree with part of it. He's talking about, I agree with the fact that he says retirement is not an age, it's a financial number. I agree with that point. But again, what he's saying is you can pick an age, you're going to retire at 65, but if your bank account doesn't allow you to live like you want to live, then that's not the age at which you should retire. So you got to get your bank account where you need it to be so you can retire. And unless you're doing something you absolutely love, you want to retire as soon as you can, right? And get away from the stress and everything associated with working. But the point he's making here is that you have to have the means in order to be able to retire, to live like you want to live. For example, he stresses saving as much as you can. He says that's 15%, but again, I say save as much as you possibly can. He's also a proponent of paying off your mortgage. And again, that's another one of those individual things, and I don't truly agree with, because if you have a low mortgage rate, and if your mortgage rate's 3%, why would you pay off a 3% mortgage when you can keep the money that you're using to pay off the mortgage and invest that and typically do better than 3%? I never saw much value in having a house paid for, because that money's not working for you, and the value of the house goes up whether your house is paid for or not. Now, I say all that. The other side of that is, if it makes you happy having your mortgage paid off, if it allows you to sleep better at night having your mortgage paid off, then without question, go ahead and do that. This is another one of those things where you have to figure out what works for you. And if you have the discipline to say, okay, I'm not going to pay off my mortgage, but I'm going to invest the money, or I feel better having my mortgage paid off and I can give up the additional money I would make by investing. Figure out what's best for you, what allows you to sleep best at night, what allows you to retire at the age you want, to live the lifestyle you want, and figure out what works for you. So this is another one of those benchmarks that may not be for you, but you have to have some plan in order to make all this work.
Next, they talk about people underestimate how long they'll live and how much money they'll need. And he said they either retire broke or way too early. Now, retirement can last about 30 years, and who knows how much longer, as advances in medicine and technological inventions, continue. That means you'll need a lot more money to live comfortably in retirement. Whether you amass a small fortune or a little nest egg, determine how much you need is the key to success. Do that by coming up with a realistic number and take into account, things like, every expense, including needs and wants. Because once you know how much you need, you actually can plan so much better. It could mean increasing your savings rate, like Doe said. If your savings rate was at 15, you might want to think about increasing it, more than 15, But it's up to you to find the ways to cut these expenses or simply, just staying on course. It's really, we always talk about this, it always depends on the individual. That number is the number you should really try to calculate correctly.
And here's one he says that I totally disagree with. He says the emergency fund is not about making money. It's insurance to keep you from cashing out for going into debt for stuff. And I said, I don't agree. I think you should make money off any transaction you make. And that's why I'm such a zealot when it comes to credit cards and making sure I'm getting paid for anything I buy, making sure any money I have invested is earning the most that it can earn. And I think that's a mindset that you have to adopt in order to make sure you maximize what you save. Any money, any transaction you make, you ought to try to do the best you can. And if you got an emergency fund set aside, make sure it's invested in something that is earning as much as you could, much as it could. Now, true, it has to be liquid. It has to be available. You have to be able to get to it. You don't want to invest it into something that may drop in value, and then you think you have 5,000 saved, but because of the volatility, you only have 2,000. No, you don't want to do that, but you still want to have it invested as best you can to make as much as you can. It's important to have an emergency fund because stuff happens. And if you have a car that's out of warranty, it's going to break. And it's not if, it's when. If you own a house, things are going to break, things are going to wear out. You're going to need money to pay for stuff. So again, you don't want to have to go into debt to pay for those things. So that's one of the building blocks of wealth creation, is to make sure you can handle emergencies that arise without affecting the monies you have invested.
And last but not least, Dave says, plan, and more planning. Retirement doesn't have to be a giant question mark, he says. If you take a page out of his playbook, Saving for Retirement, and mapping out the journey step by step, it's no doubt about it, you all. You can enable and have a more confident future. Whether you're deciding when to collect Social Security benefits or thinking about your legacy, planning in advance to protect your money can help you retire with peace of mind. And that's all I want, though. I just want to be able to retire,
You are retired.
but with peace of mind.
Do you have peace of mind?
I sure do, and yours. No, but that's real stuff, man. And we don't always talk about um, setting goals and having creating intentional budget plan and mastering your credit, and that's all down at the end of the day, y'all. It's just simple planning ahead, and that's how you protect your money. Because
And Bob, things are getting so crazy with healthcare costs and people losing jobs. Everybody's laying off people, and so many things you can't control. But one thing you can control is how you handle your money, understanding what comes in, understanding what goes out, minimizing what you don't have to spend. And again, we're not saying live like hermits. We're not saying don't enjoy yourself, but we're saying really try to plan and figure out where you want to be when you retire, and make sure you're doing things to meet those goals. It's with the volatility and craziness that's going on in this world now, I think it behooves you to make sure you have a financial plan that's going to make sure, not as best you can, that you have that peace of mind that we're talking about.
yeah, I mean, it's so important. So let's to go to the summary and takeaways of today's show, though.
Okie dokie. Are you working?
We will see, said the blind man to his deaf son. We in business today, though.
You 3 for 3
Doing
today.
pretty
Right?
good.
Okay, the first one is, and this is one you have to remember, it's never too late to start. Never too late to start. It's never too early. Okay, start if you're 20 years old, you should start thinking about putting money away for retirement. If you can get 40 years of compounded interest, it's just amazing. We've showed you what those numbers can be. They're earth shattering. If you can start when you're young. But it doesn't matter if you're not young. If you're 40, you can start. If you're 50, you can start. If you're 60, you can start. If you're already retired, you can't save for retirement at that point, but you still can take the steps to manage and make sure you're taking care of your money.
The next one is have a reasonable withdrawal plan. I talked about that earlier. Some people use the 4% rule, and that's just a benchmark. That's just a measurement that you can use. But whatever you do, have a withdrawal plan because you can run out of money real quick if you don't keep your eye and have some kind of established plan.
Yeah, plan what you want your life to be, your life, your legacy. You have to plan. You have to have some kind of idea of where you're going. All of us are going to die, and make sure you know how you want things to be when you die. If you don't plan, anything can happen. So think about that. A lot of people don't like to, but you need to.
Yeah. And last is money management doesn't stop once you retire. You got to continue to learn. You have to get help when needed, and you need to make adjustments when needed too. So don't think that it just stopped because you just retired and you do have a plan. You must stay on top of your plan. You must continue to look at it and make sure you don't need to make adjustments. Because look at today. Though I was looking at something, it said that in 1970, an item that cost you spent $11.71. Today it would cost you $100. So that just tells you all, with inflation, with taxes, the tax laws changing, all those things can affect your future money. So you need to protect your money today. So with that note.
No, but before, Bob, I got another another hacking technique that the crooks are using, and you make sure you tell your young people not to show their fingerprints on the social media pages because they can actually copy your fingerprints now. So that one just knocked me off my feet. They can copy your fingerprint from a picture in social media. So don't take a picture of your fingerprints and put it on social media because the crooks can get at it. And if they get a hold of your phone, or they can replicate your fingerprints, which is just crazy to me.
Right. So, dope. Hey, Kitty. Now, are you using AI on us, or are you really taking notes? Kitty has in the comments. She just did our summary and takeaway, though. This is good. 9 ways to protect your money. Social Security. Retirement is a smart people thing. No one leaves a legacy by accident. 50% is a good number to save. Knowing when to take Social Security. Retirement is not an age, it's a financial number. People underestimate how long they will live. Emergency fund, not about making money. Plan, more planning. Now, did you write that, Kitty, or are you ANRing us? Because that's everything we just said. That's pretty good, Kitty. So thank you very much for that summary. And as always, we do the roll call before we leave. Because we like to do this to thank people for being on because we don't take it for granted. And our like mainstays, man. Modestine, yeah, you've been with us since the beginning, if I'm correct, right, Modestine? And we thank you for being on. And Linda, I think you've also been on here too. Now, Nolia and Gloria is the trustee of her church. She had a trustee meeting, budget meeting today, so I know they beating her up in the name of the Lord today. But Linda, so glad you're on. Garnett, hey Garnett, I think you've been with us from the beginning too, right, Garnett? Thank you so much for being on. And of course, the now, Edwards Doty. How are you? Thank you for being on, dearest. And I think that's everybody. Oh, Kitty said, no, I'm really taking notes. Dad, Kitty, those are some copious notes. Thank you for, actually, doing that, Kitty. Thank you so much. Hope this was a good show for everybody. We thank you all for being on. Dope, my
Yes, sir.
quote of the week.
Can't wait.
No, I was trying to impress you because it's hard to impress you, though.
No, it's not. You've
I should
been
say
doing pretty
Ryan
good.
knows with these quotes.
You've been hitting them pretty good, buddy.
Well, I hope I don't mess up today since I've been on the road. An old man said, though, erasers are for those who make mistakes. But a youth replied, erasers are made for those who are willing to correct their mistakes.
That's a good one.
Attitude matters.
You're on the road, man.
Thank you. Coming from you, big brother, I take that to heart. You're a tough guy. That's all I know. Ladies and gentlemen, we here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Please go out there and share on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. And, if you can't get on, you all, especially most of the technical difficulties have been with Facebook. So if you can't get on Facebook, just go over to YouTube and get in on YouTube, because most of every time everybody on YouTube, they never complain that gets in through YouTube. So make sure if you can. And I don't know though, sometimes they play their games. Because back in the day with MySpace, they used to purposely act like it was technical difficulties to force you to go to the next plan up. So I hope Facebook isn't playing those games. But that's what they used to do, right? But thank you, everybody. And Dote, as my partner, we dropped another good knowledge thing. So remember, the FiTT Show, financial information for the day and tomorrow. We provide financial fitness. Have a good day.